Right now I'm a junior creative at a PR and creative agency where we look after cat footwear, juju jellies and a few other lifestyle and fashion brands. But I got into that basically, I started my blog when I was 16 years old, and that was my first foray into fashion, which I still run to this day. But I just photo of my outfits. Started that when I was 16, that got me interested. From there on, started doing internships. Did my first internship at ASOS, went to Elle, went to Grazia, worked at Mary Porter's PR agency as well, interning, and then after uni worked for a shoe designer, doing her social media and running her e-commerce store, and the designer was called Kat McConey, and it was a very small company where I got to learn loads. So yeah, I went to trade fairs there, learned how shoe production works and everything, but mainly it was great because I built up her social media that wasn't there before, so I grew the Instagram, the Twitter, the Facebook. And then from there I ended up at this agency where I get to work on the creative concept. So we get our client like cat footwear asking, they want 25,000 more Facebook fans, they want great content, so then we come up with projects, working with bloggers, doing Facebook advertising, blah 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 blah. So that's what I do now. There was a Swedish t-shirt label where I bought a t-shirt from, and they have this Facebook competition always going on. Send us a picture of you wearing your shirt and we'll feature, and I sent a picture through and the designer loved it. And she kept on sending me t-shirts and I got to style them and send pictures back, and then she was like, why don't you start your own blog? This was when Susie Bubble was just starting, so it was right at the beginning of the whole blogging thing. And she was like, Stella, you know, you style yourself so well, you may as well use these pictures and put them on a blog. And that's how I started it. Simple reason. It wasn't to emulate any bloggers or anything, it was just a good record of stuff I'd done. I don't know, my main inspirations can come from anything. Like for me, it's not necessarily, I don't read magazines as such. I see an item I really like and then think of a way to style it. So, you know, colours that work together, textures that work together. So anything can be an inspiration. It can be an earring that inspires the whole outfit. It's very clothes dependent. I think I'm a perfectionist. It's like one of the main things. So I'm very anal when it comes to certain things. Like my clothes, like my flatmate knows that it's colour coordinated, my rail and stuff like that. But I think that's what made me come so far at a young age, is just always striving to do really well. I think having an individual style is really important because obviously there's the high street that kind of dictates and what we wear and what we do, but I think it's such a great way to express the good, you know, how you're feeling, the time of your life. Like I look back at my blog, what I wore like 2 years ago, and I was a completely different person and stuff I would never wear again. So clothes really show you how you develop as a person, how you're feeling and all of that. So yeah, I think it's really important. It definitely is. I think the fashion market is oversaturated with people that want to work in fashion, firstly. There aren't that many positions and it's not a glamorous business, and people need to realise that before they think it's so easy, you know, to start your own magazine, to do all of that. It's saturated in that way. The high street is not saturated, oversaturated, because it's, you know, you've got the big brands and people go to the Topshop and the H&Ms of the world, and there aren't that many designers making it through because again it's a tough market. So the people that actually make it, there aren't that many, but it's oversaturated, probably people that are attempting to make it. Important. I don't think any big brand can miss it. I mean, that's why H&M, Topshop, all of that, even designers like Christopher Kane have dedicated social media teams, coordinators working in those positions, because it's the easiest way to reach an audience without spending money. You can sell someone a product that they see on someone's Instagram because it looks great, and that's a very powerful selling tool that no ad can do, that you actually pay. Yeah, I think it can be a really good way. I mean, if you look at a brand like Daisy Oath that necessarily aren't massive, they gained hundreds of thousands of Instagram followers. They now have 195,000 and are a cult brand. That's not because they have lots of money, they have one store, they have a team of 8, but they managed to use social media really cleverly to get a massive following that is very powerful, that big brands can't buy. So I think it's a great way to gain, you know, importance and eventual press coverage and sales through social media, because the people pulling the strings on top in fashion are obviously a bit older. And I think nowadays there's such a variety of designers and shops that you can dress appropriately and in style for your age. I mean, if you look in The Guardian, the fashionable ages page kind of sums it up the best and shows you can rock a trend whatever the age. I think it's a confidence thing. I think people just need to be comfortable to wear whatever they want and not be worried someone will be staring or pointing on the street. I think London is great for that. I think in London no one really cares, you know, and I think that's really important as long as you are confident in what you're wearing. And I think we should all be a bit more confident, and then no one would be pointing at anyone. I love And Other Stories, the whole aesthetic, the way, you know, they've got the makeup, the bags and the accessories and clothes all together. Really like that place. And then Topshop, not anymore as such. And then there's a few younger brands. I love Lazy Oaf, I love 3 Floor, that have really come into their own in the last few years in England and London as designers.